Usually the blue paint is with former NHL goaltender Carter Hutton. He's off today, so we got Devan Dubnyk filling in for him. And Devan, your career with Huts, you did cross paths a little bit, right? Very briefly, I believe.
We did very briefly, yes. I got to be his cheerleader for 2 months in Nashville, and I got to know him real well. So awesome guy, and yes, a short career path crossing.
And now you're filling in for him on the blue paint, where we're going to go around the league and look at a couple of teams heading into the playoffs who actually have some goaltending decisions to make. And let's start in the East and go to New Jersey, where I think a lot of people might be even raising an eyebrow at the idea of the Devils having a goalie decision to make. But when you look at the numbers, Jake Allen has outperformed Jacob Markstrom for quite some time here this season. How do the Devils balance out the hot hand versus the guy they paid a lot to bring in?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation because you got a guy Allen who's a veteran guy, so you don't it's not a rookie in there that you're concerned about nerves and all that. I mean, he's been there, he's been in the playoffs, so that experience is there for him. I still I still think you got to go with Markstrom on a short leash, and that's kind of going to be the trend of my opinion here. Is that you paid this guy, and his ceiling is just higher. It's just what it is at this point in both of their careers. This is why you paid him. We all know to win a Stanley Cup, you have to have phenomenal goaltending, and I think the ceiling for Markstrom is just higher than Allen's. But in this situation, I think it's a lot closer, and if they do go with Markstrom, I think the leash has got to be extremely short. Um, give him a go. If he struggles at all, then you can't wait. You can't wait to get down 2-0. You can't wait to get down 3-1 in a series. I think you start him game one, and you decide how you feel about his play, and just have Allen ready to go in the holster in case you need him. I think this one's one of the closest ones.
I'm with you. I'd actually go with Allen in this circumstance, Devin. I mean, you look at his numbers since March 1st, significantly better than Markstrom. And beyond that, I looked this up yesterday because I was a little bit surprised. Allen has actually made more postseason appearances than Markstrom, which I found fascinating. He actually has slightly more experience than a guy that I think we kind of view as someone that's been around for a while.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I tend to go a little old school where you give the guy your starter the go, but you know what, you're right in that point. And this is a different scenario where he's not a young guy, and he does have more experience that way. I guess it's just you look at what's the ceiling, and if you think that Allen can take you all the way, then that's what you got to do. And they have Markstrom lined up, so it's not like there's not going to they have him for years to come if they need to work with him or get his game back to where they need it to be. That's not going to be an issue if you go with Allen in the playoffs this year. So I certainly think this to me, out of this all of the situations, is probably the closest one. So certainly can't argue with that.
Okay, so let's talk about Colorado, because I think if you looked at this on paper, you'd say, hey, Mackenzie Blackwood came in, had a great start to his tenure, fantastic numbers out of the shoot, earns a 5-year extension 4 games into his run with the Avs. And all of a sudden, now he hasn't played great down the stretch. Scott Wedgwood has been the better goalie, but obviously doesn't have the pedigree and doesn't necessarily have the contract, of course. So which one would it be for you? Is it a ceiling thing?
Yeah, to me, again, it's a ceiling thing, and I really like Wedgwood. I really like what he's done the last few years. His game, he brings energy and intensity, and other than size, they actually both look a little similar in there when they play. But I think you got to go with Blackwood on this one. You brought him in. He showed you what he's capable of. When he is on, I mean, he's a monster in there. He's 6'5", flexible. He's lightning quick. He also brings that energy as well. So this is a good situation for a team to be in. Again, just in case. But to me, this is a no-brainer to go with Mackenzie Blackwood in a similar situation where it is a shorter leash. If those struggles do continue, you just don't let yourself get behind in a series, and it's nice to have that Wedgwood thing. But like you mentioned, I just think the ceiling's the biggest part, and you have your guy with Mackenzie Blackwood, and if they're both playing well, the ceiling on Blackwood is a lot higher.
Okay, so this is going to be an interesting one, because I think if you were to poll goaltending experts, they might say that Joe Wall has the higher ceiling, but it's kind of unequivocal that Anthony Stolarz has locked down this game one starter role for the Leafs with the way that he's played of late, right?
I agree. I agree. And I guess Stolarz is kind of a little bit of a mystery, I guess, where he has come out. He's played extremely well. He got hurt. Obviously, Wool's done great as well. But for what Stolarz has shown, what is that ceiling? It's been pretty darn high from what he's done this year. So I agree. I would lean towards Stolarz to start. This is probably the one to me where you could see both guys throughout the playoffs. I don't necessarily think that would be an alternating situation at all. But if one guy struggles a little bit, you can quickly go back to another guy, vice versa, throughout the playoffs. I think this one might be the situation that we see both of these guys a little bit more.
Yeah, and what's interesting about Stolarz as well is the fact this is the first time he's appeared in more than 30 regular season games in an NHL season, so the workload's been up there. Last situation I wanted to touch on was out in Edmonton. Stuart Skinner was hurt for a few weeks. Calvin Pickard really stepped up. If you take out last night's game, he has something like a 9-12 since the beginning of March, and obviously there's the lingering storyline of Stuart Skinner's previous playoff struggles as well. If you were Edmonton, is it similar to the other ones, or it's like, all right, you have your guy in Skinner, you give him the first crack at things, or are you riding the hot hand a little bit here with Pickard?
No, this one's not an option for me. You got to go with Skinner, and we've talked so much about this, and Calvin Pickard has done an incredible job. He's a great teammate that everybody loves. But in all honesty, if you're Edmonton, you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, you have to play Stuart Skinner. Calvin Pickard is not going to take you to the Stanley Cup final. It's nothing against him. It's just the way it is. And that ceiling is just not there. And so he's there. He's stepped up every time he's needed to. He stepped up last year when he needed to in playoffs. There might come a time in playoffs where they're going to need a game or two out of him. But to me, if you want to win the Stanley Cup as the Edmonton Oilers, Stuart Skinner is your only option.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. One more before we let you go. We saw a streak come to a finish last night. Karel Vejmelka appeared in 23 consecutive games for the Utah Hockey Club, even though they've been out of the playoff picture for a while now. Is this a situation where the team maybe wasn't even being considerate of his health? Like, was this a bit too much for them to have played him 23 in a row? Or if you're a goalie in that situation, are you even just like, no, I want to keep playing, keep starting me?
Well, 23 is nothing. I did 38. So he's got a long way to go to get there. But no, I think it's a good situation as long as his health was there. They're not in a playoff spot. They did a lot better this year. They had a lot more success than I think anybody really expected. And you got a young goalie who's showing that he can be your starting guy. He can be your guy. And two things. One, they get to have a real hard look at him in all these different situations to decide if that is going to be their guy that they're going to move forward with, which I think they like what they're seeing. And also he gets to see every single different scenario. And I mean, every scenario. It's traveling, playing when you don't feel good, if you're a little bit sick, if something hurts a little bit. These are all things that you're going to have to battle through and learn how to get through, especially during playoff runs as a starting goalie. And he's starting that many games in a row, has now got to see all of these different things. And yes, they're not in a playoff run, so maybe the pressure isn't quite there. But I think it's a great job and a great opportunity for them to really see what they have in him. And I think they like what they're seeing.
Devin, appreciate your time, man. Thanks for doing this.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.